a certain percentage of people during COVID aren't happy when they bought.
78%
Phew.
of people who bought their home during COVID are unhappy with their house.
Welcome back to Really Mary. Super excited to have my coach, my Tom Ferry coach, Emily Kettenburg, with us here in the studio today. Hello, Emily.
Hey, great to see you, Mary. My pleasure to be hanging out here on Marco Island in Southwest Florida on a beautiful day.
It doesn't get much better than this.
It sure doesn't. What about it? Talk about a piece of paradise, right?
Yeah, for sure. Now, Emily, not only are you my coach, but you coach for Tom Ferry Organization with lots of people. Tell me a little bit about this.
So, yes, luckily I have the pleasure and honor of coaching the Bartos group and their leadership team. In addition, I work with a handful of clients across the country, and most of them are CEOs or large teams and large brokerages, and I have the ability to work with their leaders, and in addition to that, their agents, right? So being able to inspire others to greatness is actually what makes me skip to work.
I love that, skipping to work. Well, you recently skipped down to Florida where you reside. Now, you could live anywhere in the U.S.
I could.
Or the world, whatever, right?
Yeah.
And you skipped this way. Mm-hmm. So tell me why you moved to Florida.
It was interesting. My mother lives in Florida, and after my father had passed away, I was flying down from New Jersey, if you can't tell by my accent. And so every month I was sort of a ping pong ball. I wasn't a snowbird and, a whatever it is you want to refer to it as, but I was a ping pong ball, right? A snowflake, I referred to myself as. So back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And then one of the trips, my mom said to me, would it just be easier if you bought a house down here so that when you're here, you'd be able to stay in your own space? And I was like, yeah, that'd be great. So we started looking at homes within a 3-minute golf cart ride to my mother's house. That was part of the criteria. And we ended up finding a home. When we found the house, we were flying down. My husband and I were flying down. And right before we left, there was a horrible, horrible ice storm in New Jersey. It was the beginning of February, right before Valentine's Day, which is when we closed. And he was chipping ice with a stick, with like a metal rod. I don't know what it's called. And to get out of the driveway so that we could get to the airplane. And when we got here, he said to me, baby, I don't think I'm going back. And I said, no problem. Go get a job and you don't have to go back. So needless to say, within a minute, he was able to procure something. He's in the golf industry. And we ended up coming to Florida on a more full-time basis. Little did I know then that I had this huge advantage, right? Gave myself quite a significant raise just simply by not having to pay state income tax. So Florida became my home for at least 6 months and a day.
So you're thinking about that you live here now. Mm-hmm. You've got this huge benefit. But, today you were talking to our team and you were talking about a certain percentage of people during COVID aren't happy when they bought. Like, tell me more about that.
Yeah, it's interesting. Tom Ferry International, we track and measure everything, right? So one of the things that we track and measure that we discovered was 78% of people who bought their home during COVID are unhappy with their house. And we believe that they're unhappy with their house because they purchased under undue stress, right? The market was hot, or they didn't have time to look, or they were buying remotely without seeing the house. And now they're taking a step back and saying, is this really the house for me? So surprisingly enough, 78% of people are unhappy with their home when they purchased during COVID.
And that's like 2021. And the good news is, guess what? There's equity.
Huge equity, right?
Yeah.
So, it's an interesting stat. 56% of current listings available across the country have an interest rate of 3% or less. And one would think if you owned your home and you had a 3% interest rate that you would stay there forever. But what we're finding is due to the equity increase that they have in their property over the last handful of years, it makes sense for them to sell, because that equity is huge, and especially in the state of Florida. I mean, you were double digits, probably 20 some odd percent year over year for a handful of years. Typically, traditionally, we see 3 to 6% appreciation over the last 30 years, year over year, right? We were double digits. So it's kind of crazy. If you don't know what your house is worth, you might be surprised how much your house is worth.
Which really is what, you don't make sure you call us, text us. We'll have a link below to get a valuation. You don't have to speak to us. I know I track all of my stocks, but I also want to know usually what my largest asset is for me is my home, how that's going. So we'd love to help you get that equity valuation done. And, until next time, we'd love to see you wherever it is, about town or on the phone. Give us a call. Mary Bartos Group of Premier Plus, and my good friend,
Emily Kettenburg. Thank you.
Ciao.